Well, I am about to start chapter 3 of The Dutch Twins by Lucy Fitch Perkins as a continuance of chapters 1 and 2. This one is titled Mother's Day. And as I get through these books, I will definitely be open to suggestions of which books should I continue with. Probably I'll do the Pioneer Twins next because it's my favorite growing up. But I may do something different. I don't know. But I hope everyone gets to enjoy it. If anyone recognizes the picture behind me, it's one of her many pieces of art that she did for a variety of other books. But again, this is the Dutch Twins. This is chapter 3. This is Mother's Day. And here is her drawing that starts it of Cat with the water buckets and such. So Mother's Day, which is chapter 3. And here is a picture. She was an amazing artist. Yesterday was a very long day, said Frau Vetter, on the morning after market day. You were gone such a long time. Cat gave her mother a great hug. We'll stay with you all day today, Mother, she said. Won't we, Kit? Yes, said Kit, and he hugged her too. And we'll help you just as much as we helped Father yesterday. Won't we, Kit? More, said Kit. I shouldn't wonder, said Father. I shall be glad of help, said Frau Vetter, because Grandma's coming, and I want everything to be clean and tidy when she comes. I'm going first to the pasture to milk the cows. You can go with me and keep the flies away. That will be a great help. Frau Vetter put a yoke across her shoulders with hooks hanging from each end of it. Then she hung a large pail on one of the hooks and a brass milk can on the other. She gave Cat a little pail to carry, and Kit took some switches from the willow tree in the yard with which to drive away the flies. Then they all three started down the road to the pasture. Pretty soon they came to a little bridge over the canal, which they had to cross. Oh dear, said Cat, looking down at the water, I'm scared. You see, there was no railing at all to take hold of, and the bridge was quite narrow. Ho, Fraidy Cat, said Kit, I'll go first and show you how. And I'll walk behind you, said Frau Vetter. Cat walked very slowly and held on hard to her pail, and so she got over the bridge safely. When I'm 4.5 feet high, I'm going to jump over the canal on a jumping pole, said Kit. Oh, how brave you are, said Cat. I should be scared. And besides, I'm afraid I should drop my shoes in the water. And here we have them crossing the bridge with their mother, Frau Vetter. Well, of course, said Kit, boys can do a great many things that girls can't do. And I will remind the people listening that this was written in 1911, so is a little dated in its historical or relevant accuracy. When they reached the pasture, there was Mevrouw Holstein waiting for them. Mevrouw Holstein was the cow's name. Kit and Cat named her. Frau Vetter tucked up her skirts, and that was quite a task, for she wore a great many of them, and sat down on a little stool. Kit and Cat stood beside her, and waved their willow wands and said shoo to the flies, and Frau Vetter began to milk. Mevrouw Holstein had eaten so much of the green meadow grass that Frau Vetter filled both the big pail, and the brass can, and the little pail too, with rich milk. I shall have milk enough to make butter and cheese, said Frau Vetter. There are no cows like our Dutch cows in the world, I believe. Oh, Mother, are you going to churn today? Asked Cat. And here they are. There's the milking stool and the can, and Kit and Cat and Frau Vetter. And there's that Holstein cow. Yes, said the Frau. I have cream enough at home to make a good roll of butter, and you may help me if you will be very careful and work steadily. I will be very steady, said Cat. I'm big enough now to learn. All Dutch girls must know how to make good butter and cheese, said Frau Vetter. And boys can drink the buttermilk, said Kit. I'll drink some too, said Cat. There'll be plenty of both for both, said their mother. When she had finished milking, Frau Vetter took out her skirts, put the yoke across her shoulders again, and lifted the large pail of milk. She hung it on one of the hooks, and the brass milk can on the other. Cat took the small pail, and they started back home. The milk was quite heavy, so they walked slowly. They had crossed the bridge and were just coming down the road when what should they see but their old goose and gander walking along the road, followed by 6 little goslings. "Oh, mother, mother," screamed Cat, "there is the old goose that we haven't seen for so long. She has stolen her nest and hatched out 6 little geese, all her own. They are taking them to the canal to swim." "Quick, Kit, quick," said Frau Vetter. "Don't let them go into the canal. We must drive them home." Kit ran boldly forward in front of them, and Cat ran too. She spilled some of the milk, but she was in such a hurry that she never knew it until afterwards, when she found some in her wooden shoes. Here are the geese and the goslings. "Kss," said the old goose, and she ran straight for the twins with her mouth open and her wings spread. The old gander ran at them too. I can't begin to tell you how scared Cat was then. She stood right still and screamed. Kit was scared too, but he stood by Cat like a brave boy and shook his willow switches at the geese and shouted "Shoo, shoo," just as he did at the flies. Frau Vetter set her pails down in the road and came up behind, flapping her apron. Then the old goose and the gander and all the little goslings started slowly along the road for home, saying cross words in goose talk all the way. Father Vetter was working in the garden when the procession came along down the road. Here we have them with those geese hissing at Kit and Cat, and she's spilling some milk. And then we have them as they march down the road. First came the geese looking very indignant, and the goslings. Then came Kit with the leaves all whipped off his willow switches. Then came Cat with her pail, and last of all, Frau Vetter and the milk. When the new family of geese had been taken care of, and the fresh milk had been put away to cool, Frau Vetter got out her churn and scalded it well. Then she put in her cream, and put the cover down over the handle of the dasher. "Now, Kit and Cat, you may take turns," she said, "and see which one of you can bring the butter. But be sure you work the dasher very evenly, or the butter will not be good." "Me first," said Cat, and she began. Kit sat on a little stool and watched for the butter. Cat worked the dasher up and down, up and down. The cream splashed and splashed inside the churn, and then a little white ring of splatters came up around the dasher. Cat worked until her arms ached. "Now it's my turn," said Kit. Then he took the dasher, and the cream splashed and splashed for quite a long time, but still the butter did not come. "Ho," said Cat, "you're nothing but a boy. Of course you don't know how to churn. Let me try," and she took her turn. Dash, splash, splash, dash. She worked away. Here she is, churning butter. And very soon, around the dasher there was a ring of little specks of butter. "Come, butter, come. Come, butter, come. Some for a honey cake and some for a bun." She sang in time to the dasher, and truly when Frau Vetter opened the churn, there was a large cake of yellow butter. Frau Vetter took out the butter and worked it into a nice roll. Then she gave each of the twins a cup of buttermilk to drink. While the twins drank the buttermilk, their mother washed the churn and put it away. When she was all through, it was still quite early in the morning, because they had gotten up with the sun. "Now we must clean the house," she said. So she got out her scrubbing brushes and mops and pails and dusters and began. First she shook out the pillows of the best bed that nobody ever slept in, and pushed back the curtain so that embroidered coverlet could be seen. Then she put the other beds in order and drew the curtains in front of them. She dusted the linen press and left it open, just a little, so that her beautiful rolls of white linen tied with ribbons would show. Cat dusted the chairs. There's the best bed. And Kit carried the big brass jugs outside the kitchen door to be polished. Then they all three rubbed and scoured and polished them until they shone like the sun. Now it is time to cook the dinner, said Frau Vetter. We will have pork and potatoes and some cabbage. Kit, run to the garden and bring a cabbage. And Cat, you may get the fire ready to cook it when Kit brings it in. Cat went to the stove, but it was such a funny stove. It wasn't a stove at all, really. And here we go again. And over here at their funny stove. There was a sort of table built up against the chimney. It was all covered with pretty blue tiles, with pictures of boats on them. Over this table, there was a shelf like a mantel shelf. There were plates on it, and from the bottom of the shelf hung some chains with hooks on them. The coals were right out on the little table. Cat took the bellows and puff, 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 made the coals burn brighter. She peeped in the kettle to see that there was water in it. Then she put some more charcoal on the fire. Kit brought in the cabbage, and Frau Vetter cut it up and put it into the pot of water hanging over the fire. She put the pork and potatoes in too. In a little while, the pot was bubbling away merrily. And Father Vetter, who was in the garden, sniffed the air and said, I know what we are going to have for dinner. While the pot boiled, Frau Vetter scrubbed the floor and wiped the window. Then she took her brooms and scrubbing brush outside. She scrubbed the door and outside of the house. She scrubbed the little pig with soap. The little pig squealed because she got some soap in its eyes. She scrubbed the steps and even the trunk of the poplar tree in the yard. She scrubbed everything in sight except Father Vetter and the twins. By and by, she came to the door and called, Come to dinner. Only be sure to leave your wooden shoes outside when you come into my clean kitchen. Here are the shoes just as they left them, all in a row. As it was Saturday, the shoes were scrubbed too. That night, when the dinner was cleared away, Frau Vetter said to the twins, And here are the shoes, all in a row. It is almost time for grandmother to come. Let's walk out to meet her. They walked clear to the edge of town before they saw her coming. They walked on top of the dike so they could look right down the street and see all the houses in a row. Grandmother was coming up the street with a basket in her arm. What do you think is in that basket, Frau Vetter? Asked the twins. Honey cake, said Kit, and Cat said candy. And Kit and Cat were both right. There was a large honey cake and anise candies and some currant buns besides. Grandmother let them peep in and see. They were very polite and did not ask for any. Frau Vetter was proud of the twins. Good manners, grandmother said. So here they are looking for grandmother. Over the dike. You see a windmill in the back? And then here we have them, and grandmother has shown up with her candies and her cake. This afternoon when we have tea, you shall have some. I'm glad I ate such a lot of dinner, said Kit to Cat as they walked along, or else I just have to have a bun this minute. Yes, said Cat. It's much easier to be polite when you aren't hungry. When they got home, Kit and Cat took their grandmother to see the new goslings and to see the ducklings too. And Frau Vetter showed her the butter that Kit and Cat had helped to churn, and grandmother said, My, what helpers they are getting to be. Then she said, how clean the house is, and then how the brasses shine. Yes, said Frau Vetter, the twins helped me make something clean and tidy to show to you. I guess it's time for honey cake, said grandmother. Then Frau Vetter stirred up the fire again and boiled the kettle and made tea. She took down her best china cups and put them out on the round table. Then grandmother opened her basket and took out the honey cake and buns and the candy, and Frau Vetter brought out her fresh butter. I can't stay polite much longer, said Kit to Kat. Grandmother gave them each a thin slice of honey cake and a bun, and Frau Vetter spread some of the butter on the buns, and oh, how good they were. Here we are with Grandmother and Kit and Kat. Some for a honey cake and some for a bun, sang Kat. It didn't take the twins long to finish them. When they had drunk their tea, Grandmother brought out her knitting, and Mother Vetter began to spin. How many rolls of linen have you ready for Kat when she marries? Grandmother asked. I try to make at least one roll each year, so she has 4 now, and I am working on the 5th one, said Frau Vetter. She shall be as well-to-do as any farmer's daughter near here when she marries. See, this is the last one, said Frau Vetter, took from a press a roll of beautiful white linen tied with blue ribbons. Is that for me, Mother? Asked Kat. Yes, said Frau Vetter. When you marry, we shall have a fine press full of linen for you. Isn't Kit going to have some too? Asked Kat. Grandmother laughed. The mother of the little girl who will someday marry Kit is working now on her linen, no doubt, so Kit won't need any of yours. The twins looked very solemn and went out into the yard. They sat down on the bench by the kitchen door together. Then Kat said, Kit, do you suppose we've got to be married? It looks like it. Things seemed very dark indeed to the twins. Well, said Kat, I just tell you I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay at home with Mother and Father, and you and the ducks and everything. What will they do then with the linen then, said Kit. I guess you'll have to be married. Kat began to cry. I'll just go and ask Mother, she said. I'll go with you, said Kit. I don't want to do any more than you do. So the twins got down from the bench and went into the kitchen where Grandmother and Frau Vetter were. Their mother was spinning flax to take linen thread. Mother, said the twins, will you please excuse us from being married? Oh, my soul, said Frau Vetter. She seemed surprised. We don't want to at all, said Kat. We'd rather stay with you. You shan't be married until after you are 4.5 feet high, and I'll call Christopher and Katrina anyway, said Frau Vetter. I promise you that. The twins were very much relieved. They went out and fed their ducklings. They felt so much better, and they gave them an extra. And here we have them with the spinning wheel. Handful of grain, and they carried a bun to Father Vetter, who was hoeing in the farthest corner of the garden. He ate it, leaning on his hoe. When they went back to the house, it was late in the afternoon. Grandmother was rolling up her knitting. I must go home to Grandfather, she said. He'll be wanting his supper. The twins walked down the road as far as the first bridge with Grandmother. There she kissed them goodbye and sent them home. When their mother put them to bed that night, Kat said, Has this been a short day, Mother? Oh, very short, said Frau Vetter, because you helped me so much. Then she kissed them good night and went out to feed the pigs and shut up the chickens for the night. When she was gone, Kit said, I don't see how they got along before we came. We helped so much. No, said Kat, I don't think. But what she didn't think, no one will ever know, because just then she popped off to sleep. And there we have them with the ducklings or goslings. And there we have with the pig. So that is the end, chapter 3. Tomorrow we will continue with chapter 4, which is called One Sunday. And I hope everyone is getting to enjoy this in our lovely isolation. It was a nice sunny day here in Utah, and then it was not so sunny, but that's the weather for you. And we'll continue tomorrow. I hope everyone has a good night.